From the moment they enter the foyer, we transform the school into whatever the theme is for the year. So this year we had planets in the foyer with projections on the planets and a huge planet with projections on our main foyer. So people were immediately transported to somewhere different. It's an immersive experience. That's part of the brief. We want to create something that's truly immersive and showcases the talents of our students from the minute they enter to the minute they go into the theatre and so on. The corridors are decorated with sculpture and paintings and projections, filmmakers working with artists, working with sculptors, working with the events people to transform the pathway that the audience takes. We then move them into the theatre, and the theatre is then transformed into a multi-screen, immersive environment. So we have our big main projector with the fashion students and myself sewed a very large white screen for the back of our theatre. Then we have IKEA curtains, white IKEA curtains that have a lovely film, sort of transparent, moving kind of aspect to them that are on big rigs that we have, I think, 4 of those, and projectors mounted in the rigging to project onto each of these surfaces. So it's meant not to be a sit down, let's watch a film, but immersive experience where you can walk around and experience the different pieces of art, poetry in that 20 or so minutes that they're there. So that's the film, that's the kind of main event. We also have the cutting room floor, which is such an important part of what we do. The cutting room floor is what didn't make it to the final cut, because the reality is not all of your work will make it into the final cut, but every piece of work that is done had something to do with what the final product looked like. So helping students to understand what ideas did you think were fantastic in week 2, but by week 6 had become tired and didn't quite make the grade, or for some reason just didn't make it into the final film. So the cutting room floor is about the process. We do interviews with students along the way to help them document and understand what they're doing, what worked, what didn't work, the mind maps that we start with, all there for the audience to also see, because that's part of what we do is come and see this different style of learning in action. Whatever process they're working on, whether it be a creative process, a design process, a future thinking process, helps them to understand how the pieces all fit together. And so this is about teaching what it's like in the workplace. You don't always get to choose what you want to do. You don't always get to choose how you do it. You don't get to choose who you work with. And so we don't want to artificially create something that just makes it all rainbows and unicorns. It actually has to be challenging for students to be able to learn those employability skills, which is, again, the core of why we do the project. So Spark is a 24-minute film, round about that. It's made up of 6 films. It's obviously showing behind us here in the film, and it's a combination of live action, of animation, of filmed artworks, special effects, dance, whole range of things that come out of each of the skills groups.
It starts with a spark, so small and quaint, so subtle and faint. Who knew it would fade? And I love looking at your face, so easy to trace, but you're running out of days. say goodbye, I'll take it well. Then when you're gone, I'll hide away. Cause everything fades, it has to. I'll miss you, and I love you. I'll be here, and you'll be gone. At least I try, but you'll still leave by dawn.
past. Just time my own, and ages gilded, golden drift in stealth. He all which it inherit shall dissolve.
That fear be life abundant. That fear, a deafening quiet post-storm. Life's infinite bounty gives way to naught, but leaves a wasteland in its wake.
In yon abyss where shadows softly creep, where entropy's embrace doth gently weep.
In chambers dim, where faint whispers wane, there dwells an essence of eternal bane.
Gaze upon the sense of passing sincerity, beareth witness to all the fall of integrity. Of every sin and ill-begotten curse, of greater will our action both bend.
For pain of death this too shall end.
My name's Nina and I worked on the storyboard and the filming for Fade.
My name is Harry Blanchfield and I was one of the editors working on the Fade film.
My name was Annika and I was part of the charcoal and art drawing section of Fade. My main one there was the Galaxy charcoal.
My name is Max Connell. I was working with Fade in the Spark project as a writer, mostly poetry writing and storyboarding. Eventually I just ended up writing poetry, and that was my gig.
My name is Jai Coleman, and I did charcoal animation about someone dying and the process of life and death.
I'm Jess Langley, and I pretty much just played the tambourine. I also offered like creative input and things like that.
Okay, my name's Lily. I did charcoal stop motion animation.
I'm Celeste. I was mostly a part of the film group, and I did acting in the Fade film.
So we were taking inspiration from like galaxies or just like words that like evoked fade or something like that. And so I kind of drew from that and like water as well to have it like fading into the background. And we chose charcoal because it was like a really versatile, like easy to use technique and material. It was almost like, yeah, showing movement through the fading, and it was supposed to have like quite a bit of depth, which was done with two different types of charcoals. There was the willow charcoal, which was like really light, and then you could have the more concentrated one on top to make it blend together.
My understanding of it was that it was about memory and age, growing up and withering away. I loved the concept and the whole idea of like this person who had all of these like existing memories, seeing it all like visualized was really interesting.
Charcoal animation is where you do multiple drawings, each simulating motion. I ended up doing about 300 frames, I think, for my one animation, which only ended up being, I don't know, something around 20 seconds or something. So a lot of work in one animation. Basically, you're drawing each frame lots of work and doing lots of rubbing out to try to make some motion.
One of the teachers set up a camera stand and I put my phone on it, and then we put tape on it, so when I came back the next day it was already in place so I could just keep going. My teacher Kim and a few other teachers noticed that I was really good at landscape drawing, so they gave me a Australian landscape to replicate. I actually replicated a foresty landscape. It was like an experimentation thing, like the teachers laid out reference photos that we could replicate. And I also replicated a poem piece, the writing that one of the writers did, and then I made that into an animation.
Personally, my favourite was the teardrop coming from the eye, but also the heartbeats on like the heart monitor. I think that integrated really well with other parts of the film. There were certain aspects with like a city, and I was asked to use the heart monitor as sort of making the horizon line of the city, which was a good transition into the city, yeah.
I enjoyed working with the students and teachers and kind of collaborating and getting to know everybody, bonding over students over different techniques, and then I was referring them to the stop motion app that I was using.
I think working with other people, I was definitely out of my comfort zone because I think a lot of people wanted charcoal to be like transitions for their parts, and I had to talk to a lot of people, and sometimes I had to turn people down, which is also sometimes the hardest thing as well.
Seeing everything piece by piece come together, it just made you realise that what you were doing was very much worth it, and it was really telling some sort of a story. And just seeing the end result of that, just having that all put together on the night, it was just amazing.
It was really interesting and definitely brought out a very creative side to my thinking. It helped me develop more patience skills on developing a very hard dress like this to when it comes sitting on the body.
I was in the music area. I think I really figured out that music is what I want to do at Bradfield. Spark, it was the first time I ever had to take music seriously. Like when I heard, you have to write a song, you have to do all these things. It made me so excited to take music like a serious sort of thing, like I have to do it. It wasn't just for fun because I, get to. I mean, as soon as I felt that excitement as it being like a job, I was ecstatic. Like it was just the most amazing feeling.
Put your voice out there, make sure that you voice your opinions, because I know a lot of people had a lot of good ideas that did originally come in, but they were eventually put out because we were focusing on one main thing. And just get involved. It's so much fun when you get involved. Yes, it is a lot of hard work, and yes, it can be tiring, but the end result is so worth it. And I don't know, such a nice feeling of relief when you see the end project and just how it turned out and everything. And you get to know your grade as well, because you've literally just started and you get to know people in your grade and get to know what they like and make friends, and it's a lot of fun.
There's definitely times where I look back and I'm like, I should have put myself first in that situation, or thought about how I can better myself before I better the film. And probably advice I would give to anyone in a situation like me, or who feel they will be in a situation like me, would be it can't be that good if you're not good yourself.
For anyone else doing this project next year, be grateful for it. Be grateful for it, because it's such an incredible experience to be given at our age, and you will be grateful for it. I know a lot of people had troubles and maybe didn't enjoy it as much as they would have hoped to, but you will be grateful for it. Just trust me for that. It is such an incredible experience to be given. So enjoy it while you can.